This is Mr. Weinkoff speaking with Embrace Tutoring and Educational Services. Today we're going to be reviewing the SAT Practice Test 8, questions 11 through 20, section 3. Question 11 states, which of the following could be the equation of the graph above? I see here that y is 0 at 3 various points, and I'm thinking to myself, when y equals 0, what is x, right? What is the question mark for x? Here, this would be x equals negative 3. X equals 2, x, and this looks as though it's going to be a parabola, which would be represented by x squared, so I'm going to look down. It's most likely I'm going to lean towards B and D, and here this would be x equals 2, x equals negative 3, so this B would represent that, knowing that the x minus 2 would become x equals positive 2, and the x plus 3 equals x. So 11 is going to be B. Okay, for question 12, it says, if 2a over b equals 1/2, what is the value of b over a? So I'm thinking about what is the relationship here. I'm immediately going to cross multiply these. I'm going to get 4a equals b. I want to get b over a, so I'm going to divide both sides, and 4 is going to be my best possible answer. So in other words, divide both sides here by a, and then I get b over a equals 4. Good, 12 is D. For question 13, oil and gas production in a certain area dropped. So this is going to be negative. I'm looking here. It's most likely not going to be A, most likely not going to be B. I'm going to be between C and D. Dropped from 4 million barrels in 2000 to 1.9 million barrels in 2013. Assuming the oil and gas production decreased at a constant rate, which the following linear functions F best models of production in millions of barrels T years after the year 2000. So I'm going from 2000 to 2013, and I'm really subtracting 1.9 minus 4, right? Or 4 million barrels in 2000 to 1.9 million barrels in 2013. So my 1.9 is going to be a difference of negative 2.1, right? 1.9 minus 4 equals negative 2.1. And this is over a 13-year period. Well, this is related, right? Over a 13-year period is going to be best related to C, right? My 21 over 130. Just if I were to assume if I multiplied everything by 10. So 13 is going to be C. Question 14 states, how many solutions are there to the system of equations above? Meaning that when y equals y and you have the same x's, how many of those solutions actually equal each other? So I'm going to have to flip this equation, which is going to be y equals 5x, or positive 5x when I bring it over to the other side, minus 8. I'm now going to have 5x minus 8 for my one y, and I'm going to set it equal to my other y, being my x squared plus 3x minus 7. I can immediately see I'm not going to be able to remove the x squared value. I could, I'm solving for the radical, but I think probably what's going to be best is if I move everything to one side of the equation and attempt to see if I can factor through 0. So here I have positive 1. And if I were to subtract my 5x and subtract my 5x, here I have my minus 2x. Here I have my x squared minus 2x plus 1. Well, I see I can factor this to be x minus 1, positive being on the end, so I'm a negative times a negative. This gives me x minus 1 squared, which is a solution here, which means that when I do x plus 1, that is one primary solution, so C is my best possible answer. Question 15, the functions g and h are defined above. What is the value of h of 0? Meaning when I plug in 0 for x, what do I end up getting? I see here that if I plug in 0 for x, I also would have to end up plugging in here, so let's just quickly kind of do, well, if I did my g of 0 equals 2 times 0 minus 1, didn't even really have to write this down, just equals negative 1. I now plug my negative 1 here, so this becomes 1 minus negative 1, which ends up giving me 2 overall. So my h of 0 gives me 2, right? So 15 should be D. Question 16, if a is the solution of the equation above and a is greater than 0, what is the value of a? I can factor this, and I immediately see that I have x plus 4 and multiplied by x minus 3. I chose positive 4. I chose positive 4 because the middle value is positive. I chose minus 3 because I needed something to get to negative 12. Positive 4 times negative 3 gives me negative 12. If I were to simplify or solve for both of these, this would be x equals negative 4. This becomes x equals positive 3. I need my a to be positive or greater than 0, so x equals 3 is my answer. 3 is what you bubble in your sheet. 3 is the answer to 16. Okay, question 17. The sum of negative 2x squared plus x plus 31. And so I'm looking for the sum of adding both of these together. So I'm just going to go through as I read them. Can be written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are constants. What is the value of a, b, c? Okay, so it wants me to add both of these together, and then it wants me to put them in this form of ax squared plus bx plus c, and then it wants me to add the a plus b plus c. So I'm going to do those together, and then I'm going to add them kind of simultaneously. So negative 2 plus 3 gives me 1x squared, which is my a, so I have 1 plus something right now, and then I have my x plus my 7x, which gives me 8. So this is my 8x, so this is my b. And then I have my 31 plus my negative 8, which is going to be positive 23, which is my c. 1 plus 8 plus 23 equals 32, and that is my answer to ABC. 32 is what you bubble in. Question 18, if xy satisfies the system of equations above, what is the value of y? Meaning I want to cross out x. They kind of help me out here by setting that up. I see here that I have a negative x and I have an x, so I can cross these out. I see when I add these equations together for a system of equations, I have 4y equals, well, adding negative 3.5 plus 9.5, well, here I have 6. Well, y equals 6 over 4, which equals 3 over 2, and I'm done. So y equals 3 over 2. Question 19. A startup company opened with 8 employees. The company's growth plan assumes 2 new employees that will be hired each quarter. So 2 new employees each quarter every 3 months for the first 5 years. So hired each quarter every 3 months for the first 5 years. So 5 years, 60 months, 20 quarters. Okay, 5 years, 60 months, 20 quarters. If an equation is written in the form of y equals ax plus b to represent the number of employees y employed by the company x quarters after the company opening, what is the value of b? Okay. Well, b is just your initial amount. B is not according to the rate. If b is your initial amount, b is simply just going to be 8. Meaning that if you did not hire anybody else, right, in the future, so here I have ax plus b. If x is 0, I had no other hires in addition. Well, b is just going to be what is y, right? And b would be my initial amount for my employees. So 8 is going to be the answer to number 19. Question 20. In the circle above, point A is the center, and the length of arc BC is 2/5. So this length here is going to be 2, and the rest here is going to, let's say this is 3, and the entire thing altogether is going to be 5. So the whole thing is 5. Of the circumference of the circle, what is the value of x? Where is x? Okay, x is here. X looks like it is in a degree. So I'm trying to figure out, I see. Okay. So if BC is 2/5, meaning that I am 2/5, and BC is actually the 2, the 5 is representing the whole circle, then I'm attempting to find what is angle x, or x, out of a total of, here's the trick, 360 degrees. So the whole for the 5 is also equal to 360 degrees entirely around. I would cross multiply. I then end up getting 360 times 2 equals, let's say, x times 5. I would then divide by 5 in order to simplify, divide by 5. I want to simplify here. So I'm going to get 360 divided by 5 first. That gives me 72. And then multiplied by 2 equals x. So x equals 144. So 144 should be your answer to number 20.